right, I think we can probably start if you're ready, Susan.
Okay, let me put this on play from the start. All right. I know that a lot of you probably have some ideas. I'm getting feedback on this, sorry. Probably have a lot of ideas on ways that you can stay healthy. And I know that these are things that are not new to you, but we often need to be reminded of doing the things that are important to take care of ourselves. We get so busy taking care of our business, taking care of other people, our family. So a lot of times we become the last one that gets the attention. So some of the things you can do for better physical health are to move more, get restful sleep, drink sufficient water, limit caffeine, alcohol, and sugar, try to consume healthy, clean, whole foods. And sometimes we may need to limit social media and the news. It's been pretty polarized lately and has been for a long time. So when COVID-19 happened, Kelly Bailey, who's pictured in the center, came to me and Brooke Kaler via Messenger and said, how would you like to develop a group to try to help to support people while all the gyms are closed? So we developed a Facebook group called Stronger Together, and it was so much fun. We really had a great time trying to help people stay in healthier habits, because I know when I'm stressed, overeating can be a factor, drinking too much can be a factor, eating sugar can be a factor. So it really helps to have support. People's sleep needs vary widely, but a lot of times experts recommend sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. And there you see my dog sleeping. For hydration, they normally recommend that you drink half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 120 pounds, you would want to consume 60 ounces of water. It's also a great idea to limit caffeine, alcohol, and sugar, and to consume healthy, clean, whole foods as close to the natural source as possible. And please feel free to jump in with questions anytime you want, or with suggestions that you may have. And also it may be helpful to limit social media and some of the news stories. I know our news has become so polarized. Depending upon what station you listen to, you hear a completely different picture of the news. Is the sound okay right now? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, good. All right, next segment is mental health. And it's really important to take care of yourself when you're under more stress, which COVID-19 would definitely qualify. One of the sites I love to recommend to my colleagues, family, and friends, and clients as well, is one called selfcompassion.org. This is by Kristen Neff, and she also has a wonderful book and a workbook, but her website, selfcompassion.org, has 15 guided meditations that are really helpful for helping you to be more compassionate with yourself. I know a lot of us may have some pretty negative self-talk. We would never talk to a good friend that way, but we'll make a mistake and then we'll just berate ourselves for making a mistake, rather than giving ourselves a moment of compassion and then trying to figure out how we might resolve this situation. If you're struggling, you may also want to seek professional help. And some of the ways that you can do that is, actually those are on the next slide, so maybe I'll move on. So seek professional help, look into grief support, meditation and mindfulness, and also social support is so important, as well as recovery groups if needed. And there's so many different kinds of recovery groups. So this is the book I was telling you about and the website, and it's really wonderful. I recommend it highly. If you need professional help to manage depression or anxiety or any type of mental health problem, you may want to look on the psychologytoday.com website and look for referrals in your area. You can also check with your county ADAM boards, and that stands for the Alcohol and Drug Administration and Mental Health Boards. Also, you can check with the National Institute of Mental Health for some resources, and the NAMI organization has some wonderful classes both for families of people with a mental illness and for the person with the mental illness to try to help them cope more effectively. Also, we have the COVID Care Line, and I assume this is still active. It is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then it rolls over to a national line. We also have the suicide prevention hotlines. I didn't put the numbers down, but I think most of you are probably aware of these. Also, if you're struggling with grief and experiencing COVID-19 could reactivate grief that you've had in the past, because it is a huge loss. Our whole way of life has changed dramatically in the last few months. So you can check out grief.com, and then they also have an associated Facebook grief support group. Some churches may be doing grief support. I know some of them are beginning to open up again, but if not, maybe they can help you over the phone. There's many great books on meditation and mindfulness, and Jon Kabat-Zinn is one of the ones that's known fairly well for mindfulness. There's also a website called Sounds True that has a lot of great recorded audios and videos. There's an app called Headspace, which I have not checked out that much, but I'm aware of its existence, and also one called Calm. Also so important to keep in touch with people. I know we're beginning to get out again now, but I recall the first meeting I had via Zoom was with members of my Toastmasters group, and just seeing their faces across the waves, the airwaves, the net, was so calming to me. I didn't realize how lonely I had become. I mean, my dog keeps me pretty good company, but I can talk to him, but he doesn't talk back. So it was really great to see friends and to exchange pleasantries and the news of what was going on with them. So it's important to stay in touch with friends and family and your networking groups. If you are in recovery, and recovery can be anything from overeating to being, what's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes it can be codependence or Al-Anon. There are smart recovery groups and Alcoholics Anonymous, as well as many other 12-step groups that are offering online meetings. There's also a group in the Medina and Akron area called Running to Be Well, which encourages the membership to people with either mental health or substance abuse problems, or just people who want to support others with those issues, to come together and run and work out together all year round. So it's a nice option for people, because physical exercise is one of the best ways to overcome depression and anxiety. Some of the things that you can do for spiritual health might include streaming church services, meditation and mindfulness, being involved with a Bible study group. I don't know how many of you may have heard of Course in Miracles group, but it was actually written by a psychologist, and some of the concepts in that can be very calming for people. And also recovery groups, as well as helping with recovery, can also help with spirituality, because many of them have a spirituality component. So I don't know how many of you were attending online church services. It's not like being there, but it was a helpful support during these times. And this is one of Jon Kabat-Zinn's book. You can probably find his work on YouTube and probably on his site. I haven't checked, but he probably has some free resources too. I think it's been one of the things I've loved about COVID-19 were all the free workshops that were offered to people, because I love learning. And of course, you can always engage in Bible study. And this is the Course in Miracles. So many of the 12-step groups have a spiritual component, which also seems to help with the recovery process. Many people believe that the use of substances is a way of filling the void in people's lives. So the next component is financial help. And it's really important that you have an effective business strategy and plan for contingencies, consult with a financial advisor, and also have some liquid assets for short-term losses. So all in all, it's really important to find balance in those 4 key areas of your life, as well as other areas of our lives. This isn't all-inclusive. And I hope that this was helpful to you. I would love to offer opportunity for questions if you have them. Any questions at all?
I have a question, Susan.
Sure.
Oh, hi, Krista. I didn't see you before. Yeah. When I've heard that word mindfulness over and over again, and I'm not exactly sure what mindfulness is. I would think it's full of mind, but what does that mean?
I don't know what. I'm gonna put these off so I can't. Can you still hear me with them off? I'm getting feedback with the headpiece. I need to work on that. But I think of mindfulness as an ability to be aware of your thoughts, if that makes sense. I know
at that moment.
Oh, go ahead.
Being aware of your thoughts at that moment, and not thinking of what's tomorrow, what's yesterday, what's going to happen. Just be in that moment
Good
and be
point.
conscious of where you are in that moment. That's the way kind of I think of it.
I know John Kabat-Zinn has an exercise he has some of his clients do where they take like a raisin, just 1 or 2 raisins, and chew it for a long period of time, which sounds totally boring, but the process is that you're supposed to think about the taste and the texture and all the components of what you're experiencing. You know, we have such a busy lives that sometimes we're not even really aware that we're in our bodies. We're in our heads so much.
But
I
that
wonder if that would
exercise work with a cream stick.
You know, I was just thinking the same thing.
Definitely be more fun.
Or a cosmopolitan. You could really think about every sip.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't talk anymore. I'm in mindfulness.
So what are some of the you have found to help you stay grounded during this time or any time?
For me, being stuck in the house, one of the best things I found is just forcing myself to put on some real clothes and go outside and go for a walk, because it's so easy to just stay in my pajamas and sit at my desk the whole day and not get out. And I don't realize how helpful that is until I do get out there. And then I think to myself, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for being able to stay in your jammies and sweat clothes, you know, but truly you do feel better when you do your hair and your makeup and get yourself out on the sidewalk, really.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to try that tomorrow. Haven't done it for months, but I'm going to try that tomorrow.
I've been loving working from home. Any of you working from home? Or all of you working from home?
Yeah, I think, are we all? No?
Well, I'm in the office. I'm in the office every day, like 7 days a week, every day.
Uh-huh.
But I started in the afternoons, right around 2:30. I kind of feel like my energy is lagging, and I turn off the lights in my office. I'm still here. I'm still at work, but just something about turning off the lights is just very calming, and it allows me to kind of energize a little bit, even though I'm still working. And then I feel like I can turn on the lights and go back to finish the rest of my day and into my evening, because I just had that little bit of time where I just wasn't completely on.
Okay.
No, it's silly, but it's been working. So
Oh, thanks for you. I think it's great.
Krista, are you still doing that walking? You know, were you looking at a screen or something, but you could walk in your office?
yeah, you know, not lately. That has all come off the rails since March. I was doing a really good job though, Jeannie. And I do have a standing desk, and we've got those for folks who want them. And I've really found now that that's a good thing, because we're just here for so many hours. Just the ability to stand, even if I'm not walking or doing something else, it's good. It's good for the body. Yeah.
I'm actually standing at a little counter where you can eat if you want to in my dining room. And it feels good to stand after all the sitting today.
Wouldn't that be something if you could walk like with Brad Pitt, like in a screen, You know what I mean? Like, instead of just going through the woods, you got, you know, somebody next to you going, hey, let's get going. Yeah.
You really know how to motivate a gal there, Janie.
And if he runs away from you, you'd really get a workout, then you could chase him.
Well, Krista, how have you been holding up? Because this has just been an amazing time.
Yeah, you know what? It certainly has, and I love I missed the very beginning, Susan, of what you were saying, but I heard as I was having another conversation in my office, I heard self-compassion, and I love that term because I think right now that's something for everybody going through all of this, that you really have to be kind of kind to yourself at the end of the day, or even in the middle of the day, that you're doing the best that you can with everything. And you can only push yourself so far with all of it. So,
yeah, the woman who hosts the website has about 15 guided meditations on the site for free. I think it's under resources, one of the menus along the top, but a lot of great resources on there. Because I think most of us, unless we're narcissistic, we tend to be tough on ourselves.
Just an observation. I tend to think, sorry, Michael, but I think women are harder on themselves than men, but I might be wrong on that. I don't normally hear that men say, boy, does that make my hips look large. You know, things like that.
I think men can struggle too with
Sure.
being hard on themselves. They just may not verbalize it as much as we do.
Mhm. Physically, I think women are harder on themselves. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, their body. I think they're harder on themselves than men.
I've also read a lot about something called imposter syndrome and how it affects women, especially women in professional settings. And I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it's always just a feeling like you're a fraud and somebody's going to find out that you're not actually good at what you do and that you've just kind of gotten to where you are through luck. And so I read this book, I think it's called The Confidence Code, and it really focused on how all these professional women, even like professional WNBA players, have those same feelings about themselves, and you don't realize how widespread that kind of mindset can be until you hear about other women who feel that way. Sorry, honey, but
no, it's okay.
I think we're all taught to put on a tough, competent exterior, and really it's easier on ourselves if we can show some vulnerability, because other people can then relate to us too.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for guys, it's just as bad because you're expected to be tough in every situation, and so it's harder to be vulnerable.
Yeah, I can see that.
Any of you familiar with
We don't have such wonderful men in our life like the birthday girl has. So I appreciate your input and your being here with us and not running away when you saw it was all women and so thanks.
Oh, no problem.
Are any of you familiar with Brene Brown? She does a lot of work on vulnerability and courage. No?
I think Krista is.
Yeah.
I love her work.
I am too. I've read some of her books and get some of her daily emails. So yeah.
Great. I'm a social worker, so she's one of our huge heroes.
She's a hero. I'm a social worker too, Susan. Yeah. I do public health, but I've been a licensed social worker for a long time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Where do you do your public health?
I lead the health department here in Medina County.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That's why Janie asked me how I was doing.
That's why your name sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
I remember, sorry.
Oh no, there's so many people in the chamber. No. Yeah.
So Krista, I know you're a really social person, kind of like Joe and I are, like, in the nights and the evenings. So how's that gone for you? Because I know that's been hard for Joe and I, and yeah, because we're used to being around people so much.
Yeah. So Rich is having a horrible time. That's my husband. He is having a terrible time with it because he is so social. And he's a teacher, so he's been teaching remotely until they had graduation recently. And he was struggling mightily with all that. I've just been so tired by the time I get home that I don't really want to socialize. I have kind of had to force myself to try to socialize with folks. But you do miss that aspect too. Even when you're tired, you kind of realize that you have no idea what's going on in anybody's life. And I just can't get on social media. So it's just not healthy. So, you really lose track of what's happening in people's lives and what's going on. Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, but some people have said that extroverts struggle more with COVID-19 than introverts. Has anybody?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
It's killing me.
It's
I'm a social
too much
person.
of a
I like to be
change.
out.
Yeah.
I like to be out doing stuff and talking to people, and it's killing me that I am stuck at home most of the time. I try not to go out too much, but it's terrible.
Yeah.
I think we were really blessed that it came in this time in our lives where the technology is so everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you can do FaceTime and you can call from anywhere, and you can do this Zoom meeting kind of thing, and just everything. The social media aspect of it to keep up with what's going on. I know I had to limit my social media time because I would just look and look and look on it, and it's like you could spend hours just seeing what people are doing, and they frankly weren't doing anything more than you were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Or complaining.
I kind of wish it had hit in November so that we would have just been stuck at home
inside anyways.
while it was cold out. Because now I just feel like we're missing everything. I haven't even gone to a restaurant or even ordered takeout through all of this. I'm just afraid to do any of that. And we're missing all this beautiful weather, eating outside.
Oh, I agree.
The fairs, the Blue Tip Festival, the parade, 4th of July, all of our festivities.
I know we've been going out a little bit. We went golfing today, but we weren't around anybody, really. And we go to parks and stuff with the kids and just stay away from people, I think we're fortunate that we live in a less congested area, outside the city. So you're not really forced to be so close to people when you go outside,
Yeah.
But
when you're single, you don't know who to
that's a little tougher.
interact with. It's different when it's your family and you know where they've been.
Do we?
It's kind of hard.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's been a crazy time, but
and when you're not used to being the only person, the television station is always hopping, and now you're just by yourself all day. It's kind of weird.
Well, it's going to be weird for us, I think, getting back into fall, and we're not, with uncertainty of school. I think those are my biggest concerns. Is then if they do open the schools, or my kids already bring every germ imaginable from school.
Right.
So it's right now I'm enjoying that it's summer vacation,
It's so hard. You want them to go back to school so badly so that they can have, their friends and you can go back to routine. But then you're like, what if someone gets sick? And then,
Yeah. I love having them home though. I love having them here, but I know they miss their friends and stuff. So
you'll just have to set up a sanitizing station in the garage and squirt them down before they come in.
Right.
That was the hardest part, has been the hardest part for me, is not being able to touch my grandsons, and I could see them because I'd stand on their lawn and shout into the windows. But
Well, did you see that one grandma that bought the that giant inflatable dinosaur costume so she could wear that over there and hug her grandkids wearing it?
I saw that. Yes.
what?
Janie, that would be perfect for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, we hug now, but we
Okay.
hold our breath and one looks one way and one looks the other.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. But we took walks, but I just, stayed behind him. But that touching was so missing from my life. Yeah. And David was like, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. But there were a lot of blessings I felt from our lockdown. I really did. David and I spent a lot of time together and did a lot of walks together and, got to really know each other again because we're both so busy, in different directions. So I do think there were some good things that came out of it. The
Yeah,
mall being closed was not one of them.
that's tough because I like going to the mall and I haven't decided whether I want to venture there yet or not.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
Oh wait, I did go there once. Right when it opened. We went in the morning and there was nobody in there, and we went in and got what we needed and we got out. But I like to go and browse.
I like him.
We were actually supposed to be on vacation in Florida this week. So
yeah.
it's been difficult thinking that's where we should be. But I have a friend who lives in Florida, and she was on social media saying how because so many people are now traveling back and forth that it's starting to get really bad there again. So I'm glad that we didn't go, but it was really hard
It was
canceling
a
that
hard decision to make. We're like, are we going to go? And then the beach is going to be closed,
Yeah.
or something, So it was just like we were scheduled for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think air travel is one of the scariest things too. The
A lot of
thought,
people are doing it again. My neighbor travels a lot. He said, like a month ago that he would be on a plane almost by himself. But now that they're packed again, which is funny because it's like things have gotten worse, not better. So
that would be
have gone lower.
yeah, people are just getting like they're at the point I think where they're really willing to take the risk because they're tired of.
Want to go?
Yeah.
Is that what you're finding, Krista? That people are just saying, "I've done this for long enough."
Yeah. They just want to go. It doesn't matter to them that North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, and Nevada have the highest 7-day average since March ever for them. They don't care. They
don't even care at this point.
No.
I think they're more concerned about the economy at this point. And like you were saying with the Zoom and stuff, God, if this would have happened 20 years ago, think of how badly businesses would have been affected because nobody can meet or nothing. Now we can meet without even, going anywhere.
Yeah. Think about what it would have been if we couldn't do online credit card payments and things like that. A lot of places.
The country would have been in a lot worse shape for sure.
Yeah. Like online pop-up sales for local businesses and things through Facebook. Like they wouldn't have had any of those avenues to do.
Well, there's no shortage of Amazon trucks driving around, let me tell you.
Yes.
Yeah. We had one of the ladies from my Sunday school class came in to pick up one of the metal Wadsworth signs, and she had coronavirus. And the story was like, Stephanie and I were like, you just can't believe how horrible that is. I mean, people say, oh, it's just like the flu. I don't think the flu was like that.
You're taking a big risk. There's some people that they go through it, they don't even know they have it. And then there's the other people that you might die or you do die. So you're throwing the dice for sure.
Oh my gosh. My cousin Ron, his brother just got out of the hospital after 67 days and he's on his way to rehab. Oh my gosh. And then there's those people that say, oh, this is a hoax. It's like, hoax. Yeah.
That's why I can't go on social media, Janie.
Okay.
I get frustrating. It's frustrating.
Yeah. But I think though there is that balance though, and Susan, I'm curious. I mean, I think we've struggled even here at the health department with how to best help people get past fear and make a decision that's safe for them and be able to be active and do things in their life and be healthy and interact in safe ways and not be paralyzed with fear or anxiety. And I think what we're seeing is that we have people like way at extremes right now. you know, and there's some of us who are all in the middle, but we have a lot of people at extremes. And where we really want folks to be is kind of closer to the middle, like really aware and cautious, rightfully cautious, but still living life and keeping our economy going, you know, Janie, and doing those things. And so I was just, you know, we've wondered, like, what kinds of things should we be encouraging people? I don't know if folks would really, you know, they don't want to, you know, go see a therapist. They don't want to come out of their house, really. So some online good resources or some things for folks. We've really tried to figure out what we should be doing in that regard.
Yeah. We were like that at first. The first month and a half, we didn't leave. We had all our groceries delivered. I mean, we were just extra cautious. You know, I have relatives in Italy, and they're, you know, my cousin lives in Milan, and she told me all these horror stories, you know, because it was really bad there. And so we were like, oh, you know, now it's here, and it's going to be really bad, and we got to be extra cautious. And I think after, you know, a couple months, we started getting a better picture of what was happening, at least in our area. You know, 'cause you guys were releasing all the information. We're seeing, well, it's not spreading really rapidly. Exercise caution. Don't be too crazy. And then we've adjusted accordingly. But that first time, it was scary. We didn't leave. We didn't do anything. And I understand that. Like, if you have something medically, like, I can understand the anxiety and people are having, you know.
Well, I know a lot of counseling services are offering the telemedicine, and the doctors are too. So, and even when you have to go into a doctor's office, I had to see my doctor today. They are very careful. They have you stand 6 feet away. They want you to wear a mask, which I'm perfectly willing to do. And I felt safe doing it. I have to admit, I've been one of the really cautious ones, because I'm going to be 70, and even though I'm really healthy, I'm going to be 70 July 15th. So, and I have asthma, mild asthma, so I didn't want to take any risks that would jeopardize my health. Some people don't fully recover.
Those respiratory things are terrible. Even like a mild respiratory thing is terrible. So this is scary to me, because I've had, you know, respiratory stuff going before.
Krista, do you see a wave coming back, a second wave coming back of this? Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not surprised.
Well, we monitor not just what's happening in Medina and in Ohio and in the US. We look internationally at what's happening with cases, what's happening. I mean, you can look, there are hotspots all over the world right now. And, you know, our borders are still closed. Mexico, Canada, and the US extended our border closures until July 21st.
Okay.
We still have people that go internationally for different things. And now just with folks traveling in other parts of the US, we know that it's going to keep circulating. It's not going to stop circulating. And so I know people believe there's a magical date in November that it's going to stop, but it's not.
No.
So we really, what we really need to do is prepare really for the fall. And we're more concerned about co-infection with seasonal flu and with COVID, because we don't know what happens when you're co-infected. We know it's possible. We actually had a person here in the county earlier on that was co-infected, and we knew that, and he had a hard time. So what does that mean moving forward, and what will that mean for the fall? And we just don't know. And people who had an illness, and it was a mild illness, can they get reinfected again when it circulates again to them? I mean, there's still a lot we really truly don't know about it. So, which makes all the school stuff so uncertain.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They want that certainty, like, we're going to go back full force with no restrictions. I'd love that. And they might very well do that, but that could change, you know, in October, November. So.
But question for you then. I've heard that there's a number of promising treatments, you know, in the works that possibly maybe they might be starting administering people as early September. Have you heard much about that? I know there's some treatments and then talks of vaccines. I know there are several vaccines that are in their third trials now.
There's a lot of vaccine in the pipeline. There's some different strategies for that. that they're trying kind of different types of vaccine development to see what's going to be most effective. And it's really a race. There's countries all over the world trying to race to be the one to come up with the vaccine.
Oh yeah, of course.
Magic bullet, you know. But how fast that gets to an approval point, how fast that gets into production, how fast it gets into distribution, and then, you know, and then everybody in the world is going to be fighting for that resource. So that's why for us, we really look at this as a long haul. We look at this as not something that's going to be quick. So
there will still be a flu vaccine.
Yes, there already is a seasonal flu vaccine. It's already been created.
Okay.
Yeah. Those decisions were already made back in March, and those are already in production and getting ready. Those usually ship out in the summertime.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Oh boy, an amazing time in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I have another question for you. You know, the impact on us obviously is different than the impact on our kids. Do you have any specific recommendations for resources for kids and helping them deal with how life has changed because of the shutdown?
Did you say for me?
Yes.
Gosh, you know, I didn't look up that kind of information, but I can certainly check it out. I would say probably checking with a child website might be one great way, but I'm sure you're probably working with them and trying to explain it in a good way. And also I'm sure their teachers address the topic as well. But I'll look for some resources for that and share it with Stephanie so she can pass it on to you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want them to be totally so frightened that they can't function, but you want them to be aware of the risk.
I think that they have a pretty good grasp on it. Tristan loves it because he's like, oh, it's an excuse now to not have to go anywhere.
He's an introvert.
Yeah, he likes staying home. So he's like, I'm not going out there, it's COVID. Yeah.
And she's really struggling with, she hated not going to school. She hated not seeing her friends. She doesn't get to do a real ballet recital. It's just going to be the parents coming in and watching the last class. So, you know, she's really struggling with it. And then we also have a 6-year-old foster son who's staying with us. And so he's dealing with the double whammy of COVID-19 and having been removed from his parents in March, right in the midst of all the shutdowns.
And they're not doing visits, like parental visits in person.
Right. So it's just kind of just throws everything into chaos.
Yeah.
Krista just shared a website with the coronavirus through the state of Ohio for resources for parents and families. So thank you, Krista.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Oh, and talking to kids about COVID-19. Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, Krista, before I forget, we got the Wadsworth magazine, and Ava was just excited to see that she was in it at the Wadsworth office ribbon cutting.
How's your Wadsworth office doing?
So it's doing, you know what, it's doing okay. The thing is, everything really came to a shutdown and people weren't going to medical appointments. We weren't really doing a lot. So we're still staffing it just a couple days a week right now. And I know that we haven't announced it yet, but we're going to do COVID testing in Wadsworth next week.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Heard it here first, top secret. Yeah. So
Awesome.
I think we're announcing that tomorrow.
Are you guys going to be doing the antibody test?
No, we're doing viral testing. So we're doing the nasal swabs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get a serology test. Earlier, maybe 3 months ago, I was coughing pretty heavily for about 2 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks. And then it, even after it went away, and this is when we were in lockdown, we didn't leave the house. Even then when it went away, if I sneeze or something, my chest hurt really bad.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if I possibly had it already.
So Trillium Creek has they're doing an antibody test that is FDA approved. So we're not working with anybody else who's doing antibody testing in the county, but we're working with them because it's approved. And so those results get sent to us. If somebody's a positive on that, we'll go back and talk with them about their symptoms and if they had any exposure, known cases. So That's where some of our latest probables are coming from. And that's why we started putting it on our website so people could see active current cases that are different than probable cases, which are old infections. So we wanted people to have an accurate picture of what was really happening day to day. So there wasn't any confusion with the data that people saw, like these numbers. I'm like, no, we may have had 5, but 4 of them were antibodies. We only had 1 new one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why we started getting really specific with data so that people get a really clear picture and didn't feel like there was, you know, something like not being told about the data. We want to make it super clear to people. But Trilliums who are,
I know at first that they were at 50-50, you know, and then
yeah, so the ones that have FDA approval have a higher reliability to them. So yeah.
Trillium Creek does that. I
We're
might
working
go
with that one.
do that.
Yeah.
Now, how is the health department doing the testing? Do you go to the clinic at the kind of hospital?
Yeah, we're gonna do a drive. It'll be a drive up, so people will register first, and we'll have
Okay.
our staff out there to do the nasal swab. You don't even have to get out of your car. Yeah,
The nasal swab's as nasty as they say it is.
yeah. It
I've
is.
seen how they have to do it through a group, like a, you know, like a picture, and man, they got to go pretty far back.
Yeah. Now, what will the cost be for that?
No cost. If people have insurance, we can bill their insurance, but there's no copay, no deductible, nothing that they have to give us for it.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Krista, make sure you send me that information. I'll put it in our newsletter.
Sure, I absolutely will. Yeah, we just did a pop-up one today in Brunswick.
Oh,
And
okay.
Wonderful.
Yep, we announced it, and on all the slots were full pretty quick. So we're actually looking to expand the number of slots we can do down in Wadsworth when we go. So Brunswick is sort of our guinea pig, right? Don't tell them that.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
Hey,
you for your
listen, they're getting a Chick-fil-A. They can be a guinea pig.
Right. Yeah.
I know. What's up with them rubbing that in our face today?
All the time, all the time.
I know.
Thank you
How
so
come-
much for your leadership. I
Oh.
know this was not this is a tough time to be leader of a health department.
Yeah.
No,
You're
that
so
was
blessed to have Krista, man.
Krista, I love seeing the updates because I love that you put that information and it's out there for us to see every week or whatever. And I always look at it every time because it's good to know, you know, you can get a kind of a sense of maybe you don't have to worry so much, you know, or maybe you have to worry more, you know, by seeing that data.
Yeah. I want to help people feel comfortable, and I do worry. I worry about the economics of this. I worry about our business owners. I worry about the mental health of our parents and our children and our people in nursing homes and families that can't see them. I mean, there's an awful lot that I worry about. And so much of it, Susan, really comes back to mental health and what we're able to do for ourselves and for each other through all of this to try to get us to that best place on the other side of all of it. When this all when we get the vaccine and we know more about how to treat and we get all this down, that new world that we end up in, I'd like to believe that we're going to be closer to one another and more aware of ourselves. Kind of a different community that's rebuilt and supported each other through all of it. So I hope for us to be stronger, really.
Well,
I feel really concerned for the people who don't have adequate Wi-Fi or don't have adequate desktop computers or anything to access the care that they may want. That's so hard for them.
it's
Go
tough,
ahead,
especially
Lisa.
with the libraries closed. You know, a lot of those people go to the library and rely on the library for like internet and stuff, to go on the computer stuff. I get it. But.
Yeah.
Well, on a different note, not only did you do a fabulous job, Krista, but also Dr. Amy Acton that I almost took to my bed when she resigned. So nobody's standing outside of your house, are they?
No, we only had a problem with one guy, and that was actually earlier on, and surprisingly no, but I'll tell you guys, I've had 3 colleagues resign, and for Amy, and then 3 other colleagues resign, and actually nationally, I find it interesting that the health commissioners or the state health directors who are resigning or getting removed from office are all females.
Wow.
I actually, I sent an article actually over to Kathy Breitenbucher the other day. She asked how I was doing, and I said, honestly, I worry about my colleagues because there's just a lot of, I feel like some of the female health commissioners have been targeted differently than some of my male colleagues. I have someone over in the Defiance area that they've been really brutal to her. And you're trying to do the best thing and you're trying to help people. And there's just been so much kind of put around this that's been unfortunate. But Janie, Dr. Acton's not gone. She's still there. She's just kind of getting behind the governor a little bit and not out in the public. And Lance is a really good guy. I've worked with him for like 2 decades. He's been at State Health and he's good. So it'll be
That's
all right.
good to know. Yeah. Yeah, I was sad when she stepped down too. And I would read the comments sometimes when I was watching the newscast or the presentation, and I was horrified by what people would say about both DeWine and Acton. It's like, these people are trying to save your lives.
Yeah.
You know what? Almost let them, hey, go have a big rally. Just let them, let them away from us. If you don't care about your health, just don't affect me,
That's not how public health works.
I know.
You can't say, well, if you're not scared, go out. And if you are scared, stay home. Because public health travels and spreads to the people who stay home because they still have to go to the grocery store and the bank.
You can't get people to make such a small sacrifice as wearing a face mask, if you can't do that, you can't do anything to those same people. So what are you going to do?
Right. I'm sure it's very frustrating for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's been so polarizing, unfortunately. And it shouldn't be. It's science.
Well, thank you to everybody. This has been great. I love the discussion. And Susan, thanks for giving us a lot to think about. I'm going to look up that mindfulness business.
I love her website. It's really helpful. Yeah, I didn't say this during the presentation. I didn't see your question, Krista, until after I was finished. But on that same website, Self-Compassion, she works a lot with mindfulness as well.
Great. Okay. I'm going to look that up too. That sounds great.
I love that site. I recommend it a lot. That, and there's another one called Health Journeys. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Belruth Naparstek. She's a social worker and she does a lot of guided imagery. These are not free, but she has anything from anxiety to PTSD to going through surgeries. I've been a fan of hers for probably 30, 40 years. So she has a lot of great resources.
I actually found online yesterday, my employer offers an EAP, an employee assistance program. And I was checking out the website last night and they offer so many different free apps and programs that you can use on your own. It's not all just about going and seeing a therapist. And I'm glad that I looked into that because it's a resource that's already available to me. So everyone should definitely check and see what their employer offers as well.
That's a great idea.
So Krista, real quick before you go, so I don't have to reach out to you outside of this. At what point is it a temperature that you need to be concerned about if you are taking your temperature daily or whatever, and at what point do you get concerned?
So 100.4 is the number. But I'll tell you with the school temperatures, I believe we landed on 99.8 is what we put for school temperatures because they wanted to make sure that they caught if it was a rising temperature. They didn't want a student coming to practice with a rising temperature and then having that rise later into the day. They wanted it below the 100.4 threshold. So we went a little bit lower with the schools, but 100.4 is the number that we have as the screening protocol.
And so is it typical then that like one day you don't have a temperature and then the next time if you have it, it's 100.4?
Yeah, it's just like an instant. It's really weird.
Okay.
It's just, you kind of go from 0 to that. It's not 0, you're not at 0, but I mean, you go from like not feeling anything at all different from your usual self. And then you feel feverish. it's been, and we found this when talking with our nursing homes who've had outbreaks. We have, they're like, we took the temperature in the morning, and then we went back in for like a mid-morning check, and they were like off the charts, over 100. And we can't explain what that is. We've not really seen that with other illnesses. Usually it's like this gradual progression, this, oh, I feel achy, I don't feel well, oh, I think I might be sick kind of thing. And we just haven't seen that with this. For folks who have that high fever, it just sort of comes on.
What I heard about it is what it does is, if I'm right, make sure immune system kind of over-respond.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. Because your immune system has never had this virus in it before. It's totally new to us. And so your system, if you have a good immune system, what's going to happen is it's going to respond, and it's going to over-respond, which is why we have that cytokine storm, why we have everything happening with lungs and breathing, because your body ramps up very quickly to try to expel it out of your body. Yeah, while it's in there replicating in your body.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure thing, Marjorie. I miss seeing everybody in person. It's really weird. I mean, we usually see one another at chamber meetings or other meetings, it's just weird not seeing each other.
Oh, I miss the lunches and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to run, so goodbye, everybody. This was
Bye,
great.
Joanna.
Hi, Joanna.
This was great. Oh,
Bye,
thank you
Joanna.
to everyone.
Yes, thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thank everyone.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Susan. Okay.
Thanks, Janie.
Have a good week.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.